Hi, I'm being joined by one of the prominent names of India Inc., Mr. Jamshyd Godrej, CII Godrej Green Business Center. Welcome to NDTV Profit, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to start with the tricky one, in fact, that as a collective, where does India Inc. stand in terms of climate targets, and what more companies should be doing, and how government sort of help them to reach their targets and the climate goals,
Well, I think you have to take that question on two levels. One is voluntary action and one is compliance with regulation. I think as far as compliance with regulation is concerned, I think industry is doing a good job of complying with whatever regulation there are, whether it is to do with the auto industry or it's to do with the electricity or renewables, etc. I think on voluntary action, there's a lot more we can do. And the reason why CII hosts the Green Business Center is because they want voluntary action on green buildings, because buildings constitute a huge part of energy consumption, in any country. Why do we talk of green products? Because we realize that green products, which go into the supply chain, need to be rated. They need to be transparently available. Everyone knows what a green product can do. Similarly, if you look at energy efficiency, what we are constantly doing is working with industry verticals like cement, steel, etc., on how to improve energy efficiency in steel making or cement making. So the voluntary action that CII promotes, is essentially talking to industry to say that there is so much you can do, if you adopt our ideas. But it is a joint effort, which means that it's not CII, sort of having its own eye. It's industry and CII working together.
True. And in fact, this COP29 is approaching, and I just wanted to also understand from you that what should be the India approach, being the voice of Global South. What should be approach, and how they should make, use the opportunities which they are getting at such a forum?
I don't think you can expect that every COP, which happens once a year, that you will get some big thing, okay? Yeah. So Paris was many years ago, okay? Even in Glasgow, we made a commitment for net zero. Now, it can't be that we will have to commit something new every time there's a COP.
True.
Okay, so that's one. Second, I think it's to understand, how we can cooperate, okay? I think COP are a good time for governments, because it's essentially about government interaction, right? Of course, all the NGOs are there because they want to influence everyone, right? So what is it that governments can do together, I mean, for instance, industry in India has been criticizing the European, carbon border tax, okay? But why does Europe have to put in a carbon border tax? Because they are asking their own companies to be much more ambitious in what they do. So they require to invest also. So I'm not saying that it's totally fair or unfair, but all I'm saying is that it is something that arises because you are asking your industry to do something, right? Now, there's no reason why India can't think of something very similar, okay? I mean, we want also to be able to raise the bar for Indian industry.
Absolutely.
Right? And we are part of a global supply chain. Yeah. Now, with so many multinationals in India, they are very much interested in India being part of that global supply chain. And we can be. Yeah. So I think this is an opportunity for better government understanding. I think COP should be both. I mean, then it's not a negotiation in that sense, okay? But it's a better forum for being able to discuss, understand, the NGOs who are there are really very ambitious, I mean, that is their job, right? Is to push people to do things they don't normally want to do and get out of their comfort zone. So this is an opportunity for India. We should be sending many more people from India, from the government, states, etc., to participate, be part of that discussion. At the end of the day, I think you benefit a lot by that. We don't need to make any big announcements every time.
Yeah, rightly, as you pointed out about the CBAM thing, what is the impact do you see, whether it will push companies, from their sustainability agenda? How?
Yeah, if they have, see, if you don't want to pay the carbon border tax, you have to improve your carbon footprint, right? That requires investment. It's a very simple concept. The concept is, yes, I have to invest, I have to do something. Okay, if something very cheap comes in, which doesn't meet that standard, then it upsets the market, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's more, I think it's not CBAM has been around for some time, right? It's not something totally new. But at the same time, we should be much more in dialogue with Europe and with other countries to understand what they are trying to achieve, what we are trying to achieve, how do we do it together?
I would move away from this green energy topic a bit and the sustainability topic. I would like to ask a very generic question here. You've known Mr. Ratan Tata, and both the groups, yours and his, is a family business group. It's known as a family business group, and history says all of it, that all the family businesses group had played an enormous role in, in Indian economy, even at the World Forum. Now, new generation coming in the family groups, and their views may or may not align with, their fathers or grandfathers. Is there any, word there, how they should go about it and how they continue to sort of contribute in the Indian economy?
Well, I think the Tata Group is a very good example of not necessarily a family group, okay? Because as you know, the history, okay, their founders eventually gave all their shares to charity. So it's the Tata Trusts, which basically own Tata Sons, which then owns the rest of the group. I think that's a very different structure from the way normal family businesses in India, where the families themselves directly own those businesses. But on the intergenerational issue, I mean, what I see today is that in almost across the board, the next generation is always smarter than the previous. Okay, and I think you will see that their contribution, it will be enormous, and if they don't have adequate experience, there's enough ways to, have structures to do that. So family businesses around the world, even in the United States, you may have some very large corporates which are not owned by a family, right? But the majority of businesses are owned by families, and most of them are small SMEs. So I don't see an issue at all. I mean, the Tata example is actually a good example for the world, that, how a family have been able to perpetuate their ideas through the structure of a trust. There are other countries in the world which also have similar type of structures where, the trusts end up owning the businesses. I mean, it's not well known, but for instance, Rolex, the watch company, actually is owned by a foundation, you see. So there's no reason why this idea cannot be perpetuated. I think we must look at sustainable structures in the corporate, and there are many models, and they all coexist, and they will.
And in fact, sir, sustainable model is, of course, the valid point here, but there are a lot of, dependency these days on artificial intelligence. And of course, there is a positive and negative about it. How to deal with that, particularly the carbon prints which it's coming up with the artificial intelligence, how to sort of balance that? How are you seeing that?
Well, I'm no expert in all of that, but what I see is that yes, there is a lot to be benefited by artificial intelligence and similar types of technologies. I think how do you govern that also is I think going to be crucial. I mean, how do I know, that something that comes to me, is done by some machine. Do I know that it's done by a machine? Do I know that it's done by somebody who's done it thoughtfully or not? So it's a difficult situation, I think, for industry to first understand what it can do for you and to embrace it, but also understand what its limitations are and what are the backstops.
So clearly that they have to have some sort of, you believe that there has to be some sort of checks and balances when it comes to artificial, and the monitoring should be there. Like
yeah, but when you say checks and balances, I don't mean checks and balances by government, okay? Okay. Yes, of course, I mean, within yourself. I mean, governments are not good generally all around the world at managing and governing fast-moving technologies. You see, I think industry is much better at that, and but industry have also come together and do voluntary, be together and voluntary actions to understand what will work, what will not work, and my feeling is that you will see a lot more productivity, efficiency, and those type of factors coming into play by use of these artificial intelligence and other areas.
True, sir. Overall, also, you have been watching, particularly since the pandemic time, the economy is now, looks like it's stabilizing. Your assessment there, how
the Indian economy.
The Indian economy overall, if you could have some of your views would be.
Our view in CII has always been, that we can do better.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's no reason why India cannot achieve the growth rates that China achieved, for many decades. But how does it will only happen, if there's a really close interaction on policy making between industry and government. And that's the CII's role.
Yeah.
You see, that's what CII is best at. And we believe that this current growth rate of around 7% can certainly go higher, but for it to go higher, infrastructure has to support, right? Other legal systems have to support. I think personally, I feel that even though we have a good legal system in India, the whole independence of the courts and the judiciary, etc., but it's too slow, especially for businesses. If you have a commercial dispute, and if it takes you years and years and years to settle, that's not a functioning legal system.
Yeah.
So I think, this is the sort of things that we need in order for the economy to grow at 10, 12%. Yeah. Okay, but without that, we are growing at 7%, which is very good. But,
So clearly the litigation is, the commercial litigation is so, and there has to be some sort of fast tracking there.
Not only commercial, I mean, land disputes. I mean, you read, that some disputes are 100 years old.
Yeah, and it's still ongoing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can't, we are a vibrant democracy. We should have a vibrant legal system.
Absolutely. And in overall term, not just taxation or something, but the overall judicial system needs to some sort of revamp.
In every way.
Sure.
I think, I mean, I'm no expert in that to be able to say this is the solution. If somebody has a solution, I'd be very happy to hear it.
Definitely. So lastly, I would like to know about this one of the very important scheme government has announced, the internship scheme, the PM internship scheme, and of course a lot of companies are participating in that. Do you think this entire purpose and the intent to create a job, they have given some target of 1 crore in 5 years. So you think this will sort of help youth to get, jobs, and the job situation will be resolved through such a scheme?
See, I have a pet theory, which is that in India, if you ask somebody to work with their hands and be a mechanic, be a plumber, it's always sort of society looks down on it, If you have a BA degree or an MA degree, then you're somebody, Now, whether you have a job with a BA and MA is a separate issue, But I think plumbers can be billionaires also. There's no reason why they cannot. So I think what we have to start with is to say that, you know, we respect work by people who use their hands and their skills. Okay, that's very important for society. I think that there needs to be a shift in society to appreciate that everybody doesn't rush off to do a BA or an MA. You see, because there's very good money to be made if you're a highly skilled welder, you know, a highly skilled plumber, electrician, etc. So why don't we also celebrate, you know, this sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then if skills can become, you know, universal, there will be a demand for it. Every company that I know of is short of skilled people. Right? What do they do? What do the companies do? They have their own training programs to take care of their own needs. Okay, plus CSR money also goes in training people. So this is one more layer. The Prime Minister's program on internship is a good idea. But I think it starts at the bottom to say that we respect people who work with their hands.
And you think that there should be some sort of job certainty should be there also?
But the jobs are there for a vibrant economy like India. There will be no shortage of jobs if you have skilled people.
True. With that, it's time to wrap up. Mr. Godrej, I appreciate your time with NDTV Profit for sharing your views on sustainability and green energy and, of course, the economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.